The Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Real Doctor Who fans with real Doctor Who opinions.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. I am Brett, and in today's podcast, we've got a jam-packed show filled with the latest Doctor Who news, updates, and plenty of opinions along the way. I'm going to be talking about the Series 2 viewing figures, as well as the Series 3, I should say Season 3, because that's what it is, Season 3. The Season 3 question mark, the possible regeneration of the 15th to 16th Doctor, and so much more. I appreciate all of you that have joined us in the Doctor Who Alhambra podcast recently. Thank you for downloading and listening. Please, if you are listening to this on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, leave us some feedback, email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. All right, so the most recent podcast I did was me playing around with a music AI to come up with a introductory, see if it could do certain things. Anyway, long story short, because I did get copywritten strike, and I've gone through a lot of our episodes, and it's not a strike, but if we were getting if we were making money off of the YouTube channel, we would have lost any monetary gains from a couple of episodes because of either A, using copywritten music, B, I played the entirety of Revolve, which I'm not supposed to. I can do it and have it underlaying underneath the, a light music bed for the introduction. But doing so, doing it in its entirety for the most recent episode of the Doctor Who Alhambra podcast did get me, a warning, and just basically saying, hey, you're not making any money on this, but if you were, guess what? You still would not. Interestingly, but some of the things that we've gotten struck for, I thought were obnoxious. Like some of the Doctor Who reviews that we did, getting stuff from the Jodie Whittaker era, the music that Sagan Akambola, or whatever his name is, the guy who did the music for Jodie's era, like those are, we were just commenting on the quotes and the, whatever, but the incidental music, that's what got us flagged. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and just kind of, bring everything full circle and just kind of touch back on the most recent episode 373 of the Doctor Who Alhambra podcast. Again, please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess without further ado, we've got some news. First off, I should probably say 51st rated podcast out of the top Doctor Who 100 podcasts for 2025. Also, I want to thank Big Finish for giving us a retweet or whatnot. They asked a question, and maybe that's where we got a couple of, bonus listeners and stuff like that. They asked a question, which is, where do you go for your Big Finish recommendations? And I said, our podcast, the Alhambra Podcast. And then I like to read what fans think about Big Finish and Doctor Who audios through the time scales. And I know that at times certain things can be a little controversial or whatnot, but I do find that going to a place where most people, fans that have things in common with one another, is a really good place to meet and discuss and see people's thoughts and opinions regarding, the state of Doctor Who. And I guess without further ado, we're going to go through a couple of things. I'm going to get to season 2's tease that, or just barely, not tease, but the thing that just happened at the very end of the most recent episode, the Interstellar Song Contest. I want to first start off with the, the uncertainty about season 3, season 16, season 42 of the Doctor Who Alhambra podcast, or not Doctor Who, the Doctor Who. Sorry. I think it's quite an interesting thing, because according to comic blend. They have a article that was written on the 16th of May that's entitled, "While Doctor Who's future at Disney Plus remains unclear, apparently the show still has a bright future ahead, although with one big hitch." There's always a hitch. There's always a hitch. There's always a hitch in the end. So I think there's a lot of things that are still so up in the air. I think there's so much inconsistent information that is out there at this point, revolving around season 3 of Doctor Who. We have Disney Plus, who um, might not be into picking up a third season. They are going to be possibly, it looks like, out of the Doctor Who bandwagon after the war against the land and the sea. And, I'm actually kind of fine with it. Now, here's the interesting thing revolving around everything about Doctor Who and Disney and a lot of other people. So you have one faction that says that, it's never been better. It has a strong fan base. Now, you do have some people that say that is not true. One of the things that is used for criteria is the Nielsen ratings. And according to the most recent Nielsen charts, Disney or Doctor Who in the States has not appeared in it at all, which again makes you wonder what everything is or what's going on with everything surrounding the show. Now, I also want to give a shout out to Liam's YouTube guy that he follows, Theories. And I bookmarked it. Let me just wait for my bookmark to get up. There we go. It says, what does BTG stand for? Anyway, it says let's see, goes from BGT. What is that? Oh, Britain's Got Talent. Okay. Goes from 10 million viewers on average to 5 million viewers on average in 10 years. The internet says TV isn't what it used to be. Now, I like the point that he's making. It says Doctor Who goes from 6 million viewers on average to 3 million viewers on average. Actually, a lot less currently. And it says, internet says woke hashtag RAP Doctor Who. Why is Who trending differently from everything else? And I also, I actually, it's a really good comment to bring up. And I almost want to say it's not. Um, I think that there is so much more backlash now in so many shows that are going on. You have the backlash with some of the storylines. And I will tell you, never played the video game, not a gamer, but you have the backlash that has gone on with the story in the video game, The Last of Us Part 2. Then you have season 2 of The Last of Us, which, like, I'll tell you, the most recent episode where it was a Joel memory travel log thing, that was dull. It's been dull, in all honesty. I feel as though it is more focused on the human relation, the human condition revolving around this whole, you know, environment of zombie mushroom people compared to just horror, scary, you know, monster jumping out from nowhere or some grotesque creation or evolution of a character. And I think that that's similar to what is going on with Doctor Who. Instead of a show, let's, for example, just say take Blink. Now, Blink is, at most everybody's number one favorite Doctor Who of all time. And in saying that, now if we were to take that up to today, that episode comes out, I still think that is, everybody's just wow moment. It's good. So the naysayers could say, hey, it was a blip. It's going to go back down again. Now, for me personally, Series 3 is probably one of the least enjoyable ones. And in a future podcast, I'm going to break down and go over my list with a couple of other podcasters' lists of their favorite to least favorite seasons of Doctor Who. And I think that's going to be a fun experiment to find that out because um, I'm going to use their YouTube video and I'm going to break it down and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And maybe Liam and or Legion will join me. And I think that would be, we would have a super terrific, fun, happy time. Uh, and everybody will have it. Sorry, that a fun time will be had by all. There we are. That's what I actually wanted to say. But I feel as though we're focused more on human stories, and it goes into comic books at sometimes too. There was an instance in which She-Hulk, not the Disney Plus show, but the comic book, it almost was a slice of life type of a show or comic where they would spend time going to uh, restaurants and eating. And granted, dialogue can happen during reading, but when it takes up multiple pages and you have quirky situations, like, you want action to happen in an action comic book. Now, I do know that She-Hulk has, in John Burns runs or whatnot, have broken the fourth wall or broken the comic panel per se. But at the same time, you still want to have character driven stories with action involved. And when you inverse it and have some action with more character driven narrative slash stories, I feel as though you are losing a large percentage of the population. Now, again, what Theory said, yeah, Britain's Got Talent, 10 million to 5 million on average. And again, people have watched. There's so many things to watch now. There's so many things to stream. You have so many people who have DVD players, Blu-ray players on top of that as well too. One thing I do want to say, revolving around, and something that I've brought up in years past, revolving around Doctor Who, because myself and Liam have had conversations and discussions surrounding what, you know, viewership and how, we're using an archaic system, is what he was constantly saying. And I agreed with him. But to one point, I was only being able to watch Doctor Who by purchasing the season pass on iTunes. Okay. And, some people probably did it on Amazon and whatnot and got their season pass because, again, did not live in England. And so had to stream it not through or watch it a day later and on a different service and platform. But, you ended up owning it. Now, here's the struggle right now, at least for me personally, is Disney Plus is seems to be preventing the day in purchase of new series Doctor Who. I was able to do it all throughout the Jodie era. I owned every single Jodie era on iTunes when HBO Max had access to it and was the one that, obnoxiously, they weren't posting it the day after. They only posted like, season 11 or series 11 after it completely aired, which I thought was obnoxious. Why are they not showing it the day after, kind of like what Disney Plus is doing? However, I disagree with what Disney Plus is doing by, it airs on this date. It's going to be available at 5 a.m. in the morning. I don't think that is, no, sir. I don't like it. I think if it starts to stream on the BBC One at 7, I think at 8, that's when it is available to stream on Disney Plus to watch it on demand. I think that I don't know. I think it only makes sense. But again, you, I cannot, and what one of, and where I was going with this, sorry, I got distracted by myself, is when we were talking about the archaic uh, number practices that is done by, whatever. Um, I always made mention to Liam that, yeah, where are my iTunes numbers? Where are my Amazon numbers? But now Disney is preventing me from owning these things. And the only way that I have access to these is one of two places. And that is either three places. A, BBC One, which then I would have to probably use a VPN to view it illegally, and I'm not going to do that. B, Disney Plus, which I don't have a monthly account for. I might pick one up later, probably maybe this week or next week or whatnot. But no, or B or C, illegally downloading it on some sort of pirate site. And I'm not going to do that either. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place for me watching Disney or Doctor Who compared to what it would be in previous years. So you could say, yes, the numbers are down, but some of the money that could be gained by to the BBC from Doctor Who is currently being blocked by Disney's practices. And so I think that there's another layer to everything. And I think I don't know, maybe I'm not making any sense. Maybe I've, my ADHD brain, sorry, ADD brain. I don't have ADHD. My ADD brain is kind of all over the place. But again, I agree with Liam. I disagree with Liam. I find what theories is saying is interesting, but also at the same time, I think the way that people are choosing to write stories is completely different than what was happening 5 years ago. And one could almost argue that it was near the tail end of, like, we all complained about the Whitaker era and the poor writing. Well, I personally think that RTD for part 2 has continued on with the poor writing. And I think that that has also been a struggle for people who are long-term um, Doctor Who fans. And I think I think that's where people are jumping off the bandwagon and either A, just sitting it out and just enjoying the previously old shows. And you know what? People who are doing the RIP Doctor Who, there's one of two people. There's the people who are doing it because it is in their best interest slash monetary business to do it because they have YouTube channels and their YouTube channel is to just discuss and hate everything. How can you pre-hate how can you watch something and already pre-hate it before you watch it? I think everybody should go in neutral and that's what I did for all of the Jodie Whittaker era. We forced Liam, if you want to go back to episode 290 something or something like that, we forced Liam to watch um the 6-part Flux series because he was all out on it. And I went in every single with optimism. And maybe I was too optimistic. I probably should have gone in neutral, but I was optimistic that it was going to get better. And you know what? We had the Weeping Angels episode and it did get better. And then we had everything else. So with that, I I think it's a lot more messy and I think my explanation is way more messy than it probably should be. But I think there's so many layers, so many different things to look at. And we can't just cut and dry and say, it's because of streaming, because that actually goes against what happened with the Tenet era. And then you could say, well, it was available on Disney Plus day of post the Tenet era 14th Doctor part 2. But then it's also the storylines, I think. I have not watched series 2 or season 2 so far, so I cannot comment. I cannot say it's bad. I cannot say it's good. I'm very interested to see the part 2 to midnight. I actually, and the reason why I found out that iTunes did not have any of these Disney series for sale is because I wanted to only pay and watch Midnight or the sequel to Midnight because I think it's probably one of the most overrated episodes of all time. But I wanted to watch it. And the only way currently I can watch it is if I get a month-long subscription to Disney Plus. And again, I'm probably going to do that at some point in time, purge it, binge the whole thing for 1 month, and then move on. And then going to let's go to the uh, uh, ratings, the UK Doctor Who ratings accumulator on doctorwhotv.co.uk for series 15, season 2, season 41. And it's, again, I think this tells a lot of a story. And again, I think it goes into the writing. I think it goes into the inverse of action compared to character drama. And you when you think about this, when you go back to the classic era of Doctor Who, a lot of it was, a lot of talking. There was a lot of um Shakespearean actors, especially like I believe in the vampire one in E-Space. For some reason, I can't think of what that title is, but it's very actor heavy, very, very British. And I think it's very slow in its storytelling, but it's still fun. And I think that's maybe what some of the fun that is being missed with. But I think, and what I'm gathering from what RTD Part 2 is doing is he's trying to do lots of character stuff, but also jangle the keys to, hey, this is something from the classic era. This is the Celestial Toymaker. This is the Celestial Toymaker's kid. This is, hey, we got the Ronnie back. Okay. Um, is it interesting? Are we doing social commentaries? Because if you're going to do social commentaries, and again, I think that's why a lot of people left after the 14th Doctor, is it was a lecture slash social commentary. And I think that it's seen easily by the episode rating, the ratings numbers from 2025. You start off with overnight. Again, I'm not going to say overnight is perfect, but the overnight figure is 2 million. That is not good. Then you have the uh, 7-day plus multiple screens, internet watching on people's cell phones. You get a bump of almost 1.5 million. Okay. And if you look at both these numbers, you almost get a consistent 1.5 million offset from overnight to 7 days and screens. Then you have the aberration, which is the interstellar song contest or whatever. And that goes, episode 5 goes from 1.59 million to 2.59 million. So it gains a million. However, some of the people that are skeptical, and I do think it is an important question. It's not something that you need to be able to celebrate. Is what led into it? And coming from a radio background, you are constantly getting ready to the shows that lead into something what you want is you want to keep the audience. And the question is, and I believe that there was a soccer game or football game that led into that. What was and I don't know, but again, what you have to look at is what was the audience score? What was the ratings for that? And how many people turned off the TV? Now, turning off the TV is not that big of a deal because, again, it's a Doctor Who show. Not everybody's a Doctor Who fan. Not everybody's a science fiction fan. But again, you're leading into something. And did about 1 million people just forget that the TV was on and just let it ride out? Because again, according to what I did some research on, they also had Eurovision or something like that afterwards. And so was this 2.57 million a bump up also from the people tuning in early before Eurovision started? So again, how many people leading into Doctor Who turned it off? How many people turned it on leading into Eurovision? And that is a question that does need to be answered because you can't just say, okay, well, 1 million extra people watched it. Now, if 1 million extra people watched it and some people got interested in it, we should see a spike in episode 7. So the overnight figures for episode 7, and again, people are, it could be said overnight is, antiquated. Yeah, but the 7-day for screens is consistently about 1.5 million viewers. So the overnight figures are important because we don't know what the 7-day plus 4 viewing figures are. Are these people that are constantly just turning on BBC One on the iPlayer and rewatching it over and over again to get those numbers bumped up? Or are these people legitimately watching it for the first time because, it's on demand? I think there's a mixture of both. But when you constantly have the same 1.5 million, the question needs to be asked. Who are these people and why is it always almost a consistent number? So we're going to have to see what happens in episode 7 to find out if anybody from the 2.57 stick around, or is it going to decline? Because again, overnight for episode 1, 2 million, episode 2, 1.58, episode 3, 1.86, episode 4, 1.5, episode 5, 1.59. Then we get the bump. What's episode 7 going to be? If we're around the 1.5s, they didn't retain any viewership. It's always been the same people. And I think that is where Doctor Who currently is, as currently constituted on TV. And I think that's where the struggle is going to be, in my opinion. The other thing that you have to figure out is there is no audience index scores. They are not, the BBC is not giving it to drwhotv.co.uk. They didn't for season 14 or whatnot. And they did it because they needed to reconfigure the audience scores. Now, here's the interesting thing. Refiguring the audience scores. Okay, but why do they have to refigure it? Why, if you're going to refigure it, why did they start now? Why didn't they start during the specials? Why didn't they start during the Whittaker era? Why is everything so secretive? Again, the secretive part, I believe, leaves you to believe that things are not as stable. Now, again, the rumor is, and Liam did share with me, that they are going to go on kind of hiatus and the show will come back in 2027. Okay, it's still not confirmed. I think there's still a massive, question to go forward. There is speculation about, Ncuti no longer being there. He has taken out the 2 hearts and a plus a purple box on his social media. So does that mean that he has, and again, Liam has a source that has done the audio description or whatnot or not the audio description, but some of the captions for all of these series, and the last 10 minutes of episode 8, they don't have access to. Are there 2 endings? Are there things that are not known at this time? I think that is something that we really need to figure out. Now, I think I'm going to just end this podcast right now because it's been a while since we podcasted. It's been a while since I've discussed and speculated about this. I'll talk about the Ronnie and some other things a little bit later, but what are your thoughts about Doctor Who, where we are, where the future is going to be? Again, it would be stupid to cancel Doctor Who. I think, though, again, a hiatus might be in order. It'll be kind of interesting to find out if Disney Plus is pulled out. Are we going to still be with Sony? Are we going to go back with HBO Max? What is going to happen with the partnership? Will Bad Wolf continue it? Again, according to RTD in 2024, in June, he was finishing up the scripts for season 3. Now he said that and then there was an instance at one point in time where he isn't. And then there was an instance where he's looking at scripts for series 4 and 5. So which one is it? We had the whole Graham Norton thing that got cut from Ncuti. We don't have a Christmas episode for 2025. So many things that don't add up. But again, BBC has licensing thing. They are going to be selling certain things. What are they selling? What are they doing? Who's going to be in charge? Is RTD going to be, seeing the show out and having somebody else take over? Scott Hancock, from Big Finish, he could do something. Who else? Mark Gatiss? I don't know. Like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Hit the bell for notification. Email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. Until next time, I will see you in time.
You have been listening to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Doctor Who is owned and trademarked by the BBC. Doctor Who Alhambra is not affiliated with the BBC or Big Finish. No infringement is intended. Visit our website at alhambrapodcast.weebly.com or email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet us at Alhambra Podcast. That is ALHAMBRA Podcast. Thank you.